Hello everyone, today we're here with Jeremiah, our tech team leader at SWD, and we're going to be going over processing changes for summer and winter. So Jeremiah, could you first explain what the importance is of switching your processes between summer and winter are?
It's cold. So the main thing to do is to make sure that you keep your drums and your rig warm, because in summertime, the biggest thing is the reduction in heat. So when you go out on the job site, everything's colder. So getting everything warm and where it should be for processing is an important part, and difficult when it's, anywhere below freezing or even around freezing for companies to do.
So in other words, you'd be saying that winter is probably the harder season to deal with when you're spraying foam?
Yeah, primarily most guys, yes. It's harder to go from summer to winter than from winter to summer.
In that case, could you go over what the main points are that people should be paying attention to with their rig when spraying in the winter?
Mainly keep it warm. Like I said, we recommend lots of guys have hot rooms in their warehouses or a way to climate control the temperature of the drums before even putting it on their rig. Having a heated rig is important if you can. Maintaining the internal temperature of that rig. Having barrel blankets or barrel blazers or some type of way to heat the barrel besides recirculation in the wintertime is very important as well.
Now, are there anything else other than the rig that people should be paying attention to, like within the building that they're spraying? Is there anything that they should be looking at there when it's winter?
Yeah, we always talk to guys about substrate temperature and moisture content, but in wintertime it's even more important, because if your moisture content's too high, you can have frost and dew on the substrate that can cause adhesion issues no matter what you do. So it's also paying attention to what substrates you're spraying against. Like metals, primarily colder than a wood substrate. So if you're spraying against metal, consider that it's going to be colder than if you're spraying against OSB or plywood or any of those. Like I said, substrate moisture, of course, is also important. Have a moisture median in the winter, so you know when you're getting too high. Because once again, if you have frost on the substrate, you shouldn't be spraying against it. So it's important to know that.
Now, you just said that there's usually adhesion problems. Of course, it depends on the substrate and what kind of moisture content there is in the air and on the substrate. Is there anything that people can do to manage that or get it down to where it's a little bit more controlled?
Yeah, if you go into a house in the wintertime and you have a substrate moisture that's too high, or if your substrate's too cold, lots of guys will use indirect heat to heat the substrate and or dehumidifiers to take the moisture out of the substrate so you can spray. Most of the time, heating the substrate will take care of it enough. A lot of guys in the wintertime will flash when it's really, really cold, the substrate, or picture frame to take care of some of that thermal bridging or thermal shock that the foam could have. And that will help the application as well.
Now, for winter, is there any other small things that we haven't quite talked about that you would like to cover that people should probably know about?
Every little thing helps. Like I said, we've covered a lot of it, but keeping track of your hose heat as well is important. Track your hose heat. Make sure your hose is sitting in a snowbank or in water that will cool it off even faster. The hose is there to keep the temperature of the material, not heat it up. So if you're expecting that hose to warm the temperature on cold days, it's not going to do it. So you want to, again, make sure the insulation on your hose is intact. Make sure you don't let it sit on cold concrete or in snowbanks when you're spraying. Those kind of things will help the overall application as well.
So, of course, winter is the harder season to have to deal with, but there's also some processing changes that you said should be done for summer. What are those?
The main one is to keep the heat away from your drums. A lot of guys run into problems with closed cell, overheating of drums, where loss of the blowing agent can happen. Open cell, if you maintain it, our storage temperature on open cell is 90 degrees on the high end. So if you maintain above 90 for prolonged periods of time, you could have issues with processing, mixing. It could affect everything, the expiration date of the foam. So more in the summertime, it's maintaining a cooler storage temperature than anything else. Make sure your barrels aren't overheating in the rig. Make sure if you leave your rig out at a job site, it's not 120, 130 degrees outside. Then, just pay attention. It's more on the higher end to make sure you don't get frothing or overheating in the summertime more than anything else.
All right. I noticed at one point you said that there's a loss of a blowing agent. Now, what exactly causes that, and what can people do to keep that from happening?
Maintain, you have a climate controlled area for your drums. if it sits out in the sunlight for too long, it's just like a soda can. If you shake up a soda can and you open it, the carbonation leaks out. Same thing with the drum. If it's overheated for too long, that's why when you open a closed cell drum, everyone does it slowly to release that, or to make sure there's no overpressure in there. It's just the buildup in the drum itself of pressure is the best way to look at it from the release.
All right. And with that, you talked about a lot of maintaining your drums and stuff at a lower temperature, unlike winter where you're wanting to keep them warmer.
Yeah.
So, of course, in winter you have barrel blankets and stuff to keep the barrels warmer, to make sure the temps are there. But for summer, what do you recommend doing to keep everything cool?
Most guys have the AC unit in the rigs. Same thing with the temperature controlled rooms that most guys have. The ability to heat it in the winter. They also have the ability to keep it cool in the summer. Just once again, take the precautions with your drums. Know that those storage temperatures are there for the longevity of the product. So keep them in mind when you're storing the materials. Don't leave them out on a loading dock in the middle of summertime. Bring them inside, keep them shaded, take care of them. That's really it.
Awesome. Now, are there anything else that you think people should know, differences between winter and summer, any changes that you should do or what they should be looking for?
I mean, like I said, in the summertime, you keep your barrels cool and maintain those lower temperatures. In the wintertime, keep the barrels warm, keep them stored in warm temperatures. It's more knowing the precautions for each season, knowing that 365 days out of the year, you can't maintain all those same temperatures. Each season, you should be paying attention to the transition, because even from summer to fall, it's colder and there's differences, right? So just paying attention and asking your manufacturer what those precautions should be more than anything else.